Have you heard of Ayurveda or Ayurveda medicine? It happens to be one of the world's oldest health systems, going back perhaps 5,000 years. Our guest today will tell us how we can age with vitality and energy using the concepts of Ayurveda. I'm Grace Trafton of The Better Part. Stay tuned. Our guest, Cynthia Koppel, is a master Ayurvedic practitioner and an international author and speaker. She co-founded the National Ayurvedic Medical Association and is currently the director of Lotus Holistic Health Institute and the president of Lotus Herbs, which she founded in 1982. Welcome, Cynthia. Before we talk about Ayurveda, I'd like to ask you about your amazing careers before you became a master Ayurvedic practitioner. Now, you started out in the 1960s as a war correspondent in Vietnam. How did you become a war correspondent, and what were some of your experiences?
Well, I was a child of the 60s, and I graduated from Berkeley, UC Berkeley, University of California at Berkeley in 1966. So I was there during the start of the Vietnam War, and there was a lot of activity pro-war and anti-war. And I went to this thing called the Vietnam Teach-In, and it was an all-night program, and they gave 15 minutes to the anti-Vietnam people and 15 minutes to the pro-Vietnam people. And it went on and on. And it struck me that both sides were completely fanatically believing in their point of view, and they were kind of hysterical about it. You know, if we don't stop the war, people are going to die. If we have the war, people are going to die. And I thought, you know, the reality has got to be neither of these two positions. I'm really curious as to what it would be. But I ended up on my own just going to Vietnam to find out what was going on.
You just on your own?
22 years old.
My goodness.
And I arrived, and I had a 6-week, what was it? I think maybe a 3-week visa. You could, any American could go to Vietnam.
Really?
Which I didn't know before that. And I clearly didn't know what was going on and wanted to find out more, so I got press credentials. I went around to all the various bureaus, ABC, you know, CBS, New York Times, and ultimately got hired by a newspaper called the Overseas Weekly, and I wrote for them for about a year, the year that I was there.
My goodness, so that's how you started your career as a war correspondent.
I started it knowing nothing and just trial by fire.
That is absolutely amazing. After this incredible experience, you made a big change in your career path. Tell us what you were doing in the 70s.
Well, I met a man who I later married. I met him in Vietnam. It was very romantic. The romance lasted about 4 years. We got divorced. And I proceeded to do publicity for, I lived in Marin for Grateful Dead Records and Van Morrison. And then I moved to New York City, did more publicity, moved to Woodstock. Writing, I became a professional photographer. I had to pick that up in Vietnam. And ultimately ended up studying with a spiritual teacher, doing a lot of yoga and meditation, and owning a clothing store. This spiritual group had 5 clothing stores, and the group dissolved, and I bought one of the stores, the one in Santa Cruz. That's how I ended up in Santa Cruz.
Oh, I see.
Although I grew up in San Jose.
Oh, I see.
I ended up in Santa Cruz in a very roundabout way. And through the yoga and meditation, I felt that I came to a state of peace and understanding. And I thought, is that all? You know, have I achieved what you're supposed to achieve in life? And what I realized was I was completely ignoring my body. So I had been trying to quiet my mind through meditation, through yoga, was ignoring the body. At that time, when I got that signal that I needed to learn about the body, I started studying Ayurveda. And Ayurveda combined the body, the mind, the emotions, the spiritual.
So what is Ayurveda exactly?
So as you said, Ayurveda comes from the Vedas, so they're probably 10,000 plus years old. But Ayurveda, as we study it in the classical texts, is about 5,000 years old. And it was handed down through word of mouth, through memorization, before there was writing. And Ayurveda means science or wisdom of life. So it's really the understanding of life. And it includes biology, it includes botany, it includes diet, it includes lifestyle, it includes the study of disease, it includes the study of individuals. And today in America, we usually use it as a health system, but it's more than a health system. In ancient India, they understood atomic energy, which they called Agni.
Really?
Yeah, the motion of the atoms was understood. And the first, what is it called? Atomic explosion or whatever test that India made, they called it Agni.
Really?
Yeah.
My goodness. Now, how is Ayurveda's approach to health different than that of Western medicine?
So Ayurveda, as I said, is an understanding of life. So it doesn't treat the disease, it treats the person who has the disease. So the same disease in different people can be treated differently.
So more of a holistic approach.
Very holistic. It focuses on what is the cause. That's something I think Western medicine is coming to find again, but has been neglected for many years. So the idea is that if you can find the cause and eliminate it, then the disease, the symptoms, everything is eliminated. If, let's say, you have a headache from drinking coffee and you take an aspirin for the headache, you're never going to totally get that headache gone. But if you stop drinking the coffee, magically the headache's gone.
Right.
So that's the idea. And the cause can be diet, it can be stress, it can be trauma, it can be many things.
How long did you have to train to become an Ayurvedic practitioner?
So when I started in 1982, there were no formal classes, so I took a lot of workshops. And I took a 3-month workshop at Mount Madonna Center in Watsonville, 2 summers, and then the teacher, Dr. Trivedi, who's my mentor, we brought him again. So the 3 summers of 3 months, 8 hours a day, 6 days a week learning. I went to India and studied with him. I think it was over 2,000 hours.
Oh.
But now it's codified, and the National Ayurvedic Medical Association has certain requirements to be an Ayurvedic doctor or Ayurvedic practitioner. I actually meet the requirements for the Ayurvedic doctor.
Oh.
So I have to apply to it to get that approval. But so there are a lot of schools now, and Mount Madonna, actually, I've co-founded that school and became the dean for 7 years.
Oh, I see.
So Ayurveda has shifted from when I started. Good and bad. I had a lot of, kind of interning, you could say, which isn't as available now.
Now, how many members are there in the National Ayurvedic Medical Association? And you co-founded that organization.
And when we started, we didn't even know if it was going to go, because people back when I started who were studying Ayurveda, very independent. You had to find your own way, and it was actually the Medical Association. Actually, it was dangerous to be an Ayurvedic practitioner, an alternative health practitioner.
It was dangerous.
Back then, yeah, because you could be called practicing medicine without a license.
Oh, I see.
But now we have the Health Freedom Act, and in California, and I think 8 or 10 states, you can practice alternative medicine without any fear. You're completely supported. You just have to stay within the, you have to practice what you learned. You can't practice Western medicine, but you're legally protected now.
Oh, I see. So that's improvement in the process.
Very much.
Now, is the practice of Ayurveda actually licensed by the state or not?
It's not licensed in any state, but the National Ayurvedic Medical Association and the California Association of Ayurveda are both working to license it in California.
Oh.
So you can still practice, there's no problem, but licensing seems to give another level of authority and with the potential of insurance covering it. So when I started, 35 years ago, that was our goal. And I thought we'd reach it in 10 years. But we're still working on it. Yeah.
So, but that practice is in progress?
Yes.
So it's one of these days soon?
I'm thinking within 5 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Somebody asked me the other day, and I'm originally I thought 10 years total, and it's been 35. But I think one thing that has happened is alternative healing methods and the idea of the body and mind being connected, the idea that diet is important to health.
Right.
These are all being incorporated into Western medicine now.
Yes, it is.
When I started, people thought that how you ate did not affect your health. They thought that exercise was not important. So it was, and herbs, people thought they were ineffective. But herbs are very effective. That's why I still use them after 35 years for my clients. And diet has a profound effect, which I think Western medicine is understanding too.
Oh, absolutely.
And not just diabetes. I mean, in every type of health, because the Ayurvedic framework, can I speak just a little bit about that framework?
Please.
So the Ayurvedic framework is that everything is energy. Einstein said E equals mc squared. Energy and matter are equal and opposite.
Right.
And that's what Ayurveda said 5,000 years before Einstein. So from that pure energy state, Ayurveda says there are 5 different levels of energy, from pure energy, which can't be perceived by the senses, goes through 5 steps. One is space, which you can understand through vibration, through the ears, and movement. So energy is slowing down a little bit, which you can understand through feeling the movement. Fire, which is transformation of energy from dense form to less dense, like in a fire, like a log becomes heat and energy. And water, which is that form of energy where it flows, things flow. And earth, which is that form of energy, like this table, which we think it's solid, but we know there are atoms moving in that. So there are these 5 different levels, and in the body we look at them as 3 doshas. In my book I call these 3 blueprints, because they are 3 processes that support life, that create life and support life.
So tell me again, the blueprint is the 3 doshas?
Right, the 3 doshas are 3 blueprints. And dosha is a Sanskrit word, Ayurveda is a Sanskrit word. I tried in this book to make it understandable without using Sanskrit. So if you're an Ayurvedic student and you really want to learn about Ayurveda, this might be a first step, but it's really practical and it's not using a lot of the Sanskrit.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so there are 3 processes. First one is the process of movement.
So is that how we discover our blueprint?
Yeah, we discover our blueprint by understanding these 3 processes, and because there are 3 processes that combine to make our blueprint.
Oh, okay.
So we look at them as extremes, and you could be mostly one of the 3 blueprints, but everybody has all 3, just like everybody has all 5 elements of energy, in every cell of the body. So we have that sensitive blueprint, which is called vata, movement, like otherwise there's no life. And we have heat and energy. How else can we move without energy? So that's mostly in the body, in the small intestines, whereas energy is mostly originates through digestion in the colon, according to Ayurveda. And then if we only had energy and we only had movement, we'd be like birds having to constantly eat. So we store energy. and that is the third blueprint or dosha called stability, stable, or kapha. And every cell has that kapha stable, cell wall, liquid. Every cell has some kind of an energy source, and every cell has movement. Every cell replicates or dies, movement in and out of the cells. So how each of these blueprints or doshas has different qualities. We look at all of those qualities. It's kind of like on a spectrum from hot to cold, from wet to dry. Like, how wet are we? That's how stable or how much kapha we have. How dry are we? That's kind of how much vata energy we have.
Oh, I see.
How hot are we? That's how much pitta energy. And pitta is also focus, strong focus.
Oh, I see.
So if you're a passionate or pitta constitution, that means, here in Silicon Valley we have a lot of engineers. Usually they're mostly pitta or passionate.
I see.
So highly focused,
Right.
ambitious,
Right.
more entrepreneurial. And I can go more if you want. You can see
Now,
what you want.
I know that sometimes we can get mistaken blueprints. How does that happen?
Well, Ayurveda says that we're born with a blueprint. So it's really that they understood genetic history before, we discovered genes in recent time. So they say you inherited these 3 doshas from your parents and grandparents. So we already, when we're born, we have a nature, we have a blueprint. But sometimes our parents tell us, don't do that, do this. Be quiet, sit still. You're a good person to sit still. But maybe your nature is to be animated and to be moving and creative. But you want to be, good. You follow what your parents tell you or your teacher or whatever. And you mistakenly think that you're not a creative person. But you're never quite happy. Because according to Ayurveda, health and happiness occur when you're actually living and expressing your own unique blueprint. So you could be an excellent caregiver, but you're not really totally happy with it because you're really meant to be a singer or something else according to your nature. So that's why knowing your nature is important, and knowing the nature of your spouse or your children or your boss, because people are different. I know when I was married, I assumed my husband was just like me. That was a mistake. He was very different. And perhaps if I had understood how he was uniquely different, it might have gone differently. Or if I had understood, because I actually misunderstood my nature.
Oh, I see.
And I thought I was very vata, very sensitive, very changeable. You'd ask me to do something, or what do you think? Oh, anything's fine. I'm very agreeable. And my teacher told me, you're pitta. I said, pitta, that's very fiery.
Oh.
And I was thinking of my father, who was very pitta, kind of controlling. I said, I'm not like that. He said, no, you are. And you're also kapha. I said, oh, no, I'm not kapha. I'm not stable. That's like my mother. I don't want to be like that. That's kind of boring. And one day he, he triggered me. He did some things that made me angry. And I thought, I can't speak up to my teacher. Came from India to teach this. He was the dean of Banaras Hindu University, College of Ayurveda, honored man, wrote like 20 books. I can't, get angry with him. But he provoked me, and I said, Dr. Trivedi, you can't say things like that. Maybe in India you can, but not here. And he said, there's your pitta. And I realized, oh my gosh, I have been suppressing my opinionatedness.
So what are the consequences of not expressing your true blueprint?
There are a lot of health consequences, and as I said, unhappiness and stress as well. If you suppress your pitta, if you suppress your nature, you are more prone to the imbalances in that nature. So me being mostly pitta, the imbalances that I am tending to are inflammation and irritability. Look at my family, there's cancer in the family, so that's a pitta thing. So if I suppress my pitta, I could have heart issues, I could have inflammation. The funny thing is I got this Bell's palsy, which is not a Pitta thing, it's a Vata thing. But I was under extreme stress, and that's something that aggravated the Vata and reduced what we call ojas, or like the immune system.
Oh, I see.
So, but I am prone to more skin things, inflammation things. And so self-expression is really what keeps you healthy.
I see. Now, what does a full Ayurvedic assessment entail?
So what I do in my clinic is a 2-hour initial Ayurvedic assessment. It probably would take me 20 to 30 minutes to assess, take the pulse, look at the tongue, ask a few questions, and I could say, this is the best diet, this is the best herbal formula. But that's what Western doctors do. You go to the doctor and they say, here, do this, do that. It's not empowering. You're not taking care of yourself. You don't know what's going on. You're just following what they say. And in my mind, one of the benefits of Ayurveda is you learn how to heal yourself. You learn how to be aware of what's going on. Because these doshas, just like we have our nature has signs and symptoms, our imbalances have signs and symptoms. So it takes 2 hours to find out what's going on with the person. What are their stresses? What is their diet? What is their lifestyle? What is their family history? What is their history? And to explain, this is what's going on, your nature. This is what's out of balance. This is the cause. You know, there could be 3 or 4 causes. So, and I'll always say, does this sound right to you? Because the person has to know in order to heal. And awareness is the healer.
So what are some of the possible treatments?
So let's say, well, first treatment is to eliminate the cause.
Okay.
So if somebody has inflammation, let's say they have arthritis, arthritic inflammation, you look at the cause, and one of the causes could be acidic foods. So you want to eliminate the spicy foods, you want to eliminate the sour foods, the fermented foods, alcohol, coffee, tomatoes, eggplant, you know, eliminate these things. Another thing that could be a cause could be emotions. You're in a situation and you're constantly angry. So you have to then change that situation or change your way of looking at it, reframe it, and see, you know, change the job, work different. I remember one client who had prostate cancer, and he told me about I asked about his relationship with his wife. They're both Pitta, and he was just, you know, suppressing himself. And I gave him some tools to express himself, but not be angry and not be confrontive. And plus herbs. So, but anyway, that worked. You know, the next test, it had gone away. I think in 3 months, and herbs that are anti-acid, that are cooling, you know, depending on what's going on, that help the digestion, that can calm the mind, de-stress. So herbs, diet, relationship, it could be where somebody lives. I remember one person was just driving herself nuts because she had to keep her house perfect for her husband. And I saw, it's nice to keep your house perfect for your husband, but it's not nice to drive yourself crazy.
Right, exactly.
So the solution was get a house cleaner. So it can be anything, anything that restores balance. Maybe somebody's doing Tai Chi, whereas in Ayurveda we always recommend yoga. If the Tai Chi is helping, they should be doing it. So you do whatever works.
How can we have full energy and vitality as we age? What's the secret to being energetic at any age?
So the main secret is what we were just talking about. Knowing your blueprint and eating, living, thinking according to your blueprint to keep yourself balanced. After 35, Ayurveda says the vata, or the sensitivity, increases. So we need to change our diet and lifestyle as we age. And ways to, let me try to just simplify, ways to stay balanced, which is how we're going to keep our vitality. Eat right. Right foods, eat at the right time. Sometimes we need to eat more frequently as we age because our digestion speeds up. Do the anti-vata things. Take a lot of oil in the diet, because we get dry as we as we age. Our hair dries, our bones dry,
Right.
oiling our body. Ayurvedic oil massage and Ayurvedic cleansing programs, deep cleansing, panchakarma, are rejuvenative. So some exercise, mainly, again, at any age, but especially when we're older, what is causing this lack of energy? Is it lack of sleep? Is it lack of exercise? Is it some stress? So dealing with that, finding your balance, because health and happiness go together. And I think that Know Your Blueprint
Right.
can help a lot.
Now, I understand that you provide a free 20-minute consultation and pulse reading at the Lotus Holistic Health Institute. What takes place during this session? And tell me again, what is a pulse reading?
Okay, and I do these in Campbell and in Capitola. A pulse reading is on the radial artery. There are 3 locations, and what you feel is the Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, or the sensitive blueprint, the passionate blueprint, and the stable blueprint. So when you read the pulse, you find out what's going on in those doshas in the body. You can feel if there's inflammation, you can feel if there's constipation, you feel a lot of things. And so that's a way into what's going on with a person. Person may say, this is going on, that's going on, but they may not even be aware, or they may not think it's important, so you can feel things that are even starting. So a pulse reading and free consultation is a way of looking at your nature, your Ayurvedic blueprint, and looking at what's out of balance. In a 20-minute pulse reading, I'll also give at least 3 of specific solutions to eliminating the cause, and also explain what else we offer, what else can be done, to help create somebody's roadmap to health. Because I really believe that it's that awareness that we have that creates our health. And that's my job, is to bring that Ayurvedic mirror so that a person can see their health situation holistically and differently than they're holding it.
Well, Cynthia, thank you so much for being with us today and telling us about this wonderful system of health.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
for having me. I appreciate it.
The Better Part is produced by senior volunteers, and absolutely no experience is required to join. Leave a message for us at the Cupertino Senior Center and check us out. Thank you for being with us today, and remember to also watch us on YouTube and Roku. See you next time. Bye-bye.